is Adam Murray, and welcome to Extra Time, St. Declan's TYGA Future Leaders podcast. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for all of our future content. He's back, but this time he's an All-Star nominee. Welcome to Extra Time, Calum Lyons.
Thanks again, Adam.
The last time we were talking it was just before the Cork match, and you were given man the match in that game. What was that experience like?
Are you saying like the match now itself, Adam? Or
match, yeah, everything about it.
I suppose like leading into the Cork game, there was a lot of pressure on us, even though we were kind of wrote off in a lot of people's eyes. But like it was more relief after the game than it was anything, because for us we haven't won a championship game in 3 years prior to the Cork game, so like everyone was buzzing after the game or whatever, but most people were just saying, geez, that's some monkey off the back now, because like you could see there was kind of a negativity towards us as a team and Waterford hurling, and there's all talk of, geez, there's no future in Waterford, they'll be waiting a while for an All-Ireland Waterford, this, that and the other. And just to beat Cork, and especially because it's Cork, I suppose it was always a nice feeling. Yeah, absolutely. Especially, as I said, like first championship win in a long time, it means another bit as well.
So what did you learn after your Munster final defeat?
Well, I thought I learned a lot, but probably didn't learn enough then after the All-Ireland. But no, in fairness, like you learn, it's experience, I suppose. Like getting to play in a Munster final has always been a dream, growing up or whatever. But I know it's a different kind of circumstances this year, as there was no crowd. It doesn't feel like a Munster final as such, but still, a Munster final is Munster final, regardless of if there's 10 people in the crowd or there's 50,000. So the whole experience to me was a big learning thing. I thought, just you wouldn't. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say what you learn from it, because you're looking back kind of soon. But I'd say in a couple of years' time, I will learn from it. But it's kind of still fresh. But I suppose experience is one of the main things, and I hope I kind of got a bit of experience from it. You probably learn as you go every game, not just the Munster final, but definitely I felt in the Munster final you learn a lot, because you're playing against, obviously, Limerick, which they proved themselves to be the best team in the country. So you learn a lot off them. Like you play against good players, you learn. So I suppose experience more than that, yeah.
And moving on to the Clare game, then you were on Tony Kelly, who got injured earlier on. Did that kind of give you a boost, knowing that he was out of the game earlier on?
Yeah, I suppose like when he got hurt, it was, you're wondering, how bad is it and stuff like, and obviously it turned out to be a very, very nasty injury. And obviously everyone knows how good he is. He's probably, I probably rate him as one of the best hurlers in the country for the last 5 or 6 years. It's just Clare haven't been doing as well as they probably could have, so he wasn't getting recognised. But I genuinely rate him as one of probably the best hurlers that Ireland has ever seen in the last 10 odd years. So obviously he's going to be a huge loss for them, but benefits for us. But I suppose overall, like the feeling around it was just, I suppose on the field you don't think like that. You just kind of get on with it. You just think about the next ball. You're not thinking about, he's injured and he'll be a big loss or this, that and the other. You just get on with it. So I suppose you don't be thinking about it too much like that. But looking back on it, I suppose like it was a huge mishap for them. Like, yeah, absolutely.
And obviously you had a great comeback against Kilkenny. What fired you up at half time to make the performance you did in the second half?
We all kind of agreed after the match that there was a kind of mutual feeling at half time. There was no major panic. We just kind of knew we were leaving ourselves down slightly, and that like there was no one kind of panicking, going, "Oh, lads, what's going on?" Like we all kind of knew, like, geez, if we just kind of clean this up a bit now, and really kind of stop being nervous, maybe it might have played a part, or stop kind of half going towards the ball and really just go at it like we're a way better team. And I suppose that kind of showed a little bit in the second half, when we just came out of the blocks, and we kind of felt the first few scores were essential to try and make ourselves come back in the game. And Stevie got the goal then 5 minutes into the second half, which just kind of drove us, and we kind of got a sense of belief after that goal that there was no problem here. We could get back here, and thankfully we did, I suppose. Yeah.
And it was obviously a different year, but did you find it a bit strange coming up to an All-Ireland with the COVID? What probably wasn't the same build-up as normal.
Well, as I said earlier, Adam, I suppose like I've only won personally my first ever championship match this year, and the lads have only won like their first one in 3 years, and there's a lot of lads on the panel who wouldn't be used to the build up, me included, of a All-Ireland final, never mind winning one championship game. You know what I mean? So I suppose you're asking me, is it different? I don't know, is it different because I didn't have the experience of previous years, but I do remember obviously 2017. I remember 2008 as well, like, and like the hype of that was just crazy as well. Which I don't know. Some people say it worked negatively or worked positively. I'm not too sure, but I think the 2-week break instead of the 3-week break probably helps slightly in slowing down that kind of big hype about it, because you'd see like if it's 3 weeks, people are counting down the days, and it just allows more time for kind of media to get their foot in and to have them interfere, and for more time you thinking about the match instead of just going on and playing it. So I think the 2-week kind of break instead of the 3-week was definitely is definitely positive from a player's perspective. All right, I suppose, yeah, but it's hard to know. As I said, it's hard to know the build up if it was any different previous years because I was never involved. So, but I'd assume it was slightly different, right? Yeah.
What was it like waking up on All-Ireland Day? Like, how did you prepare for that day?
I tried to take it as any other kind of a day, you know. If you kind of start, I kind of feel if you start to look into these things too much, then you end up getting nervous. And obviously, nerves are okay, they're normal, but you have to try. You have to try kind of make sure the nerves aren't affecting your game in any way, like, because if they do, then you're in trouble, because one bad thing happen and the nerves become into anxiety, and anxiety just it's a big huge mishap. So I just try to keep the same routine that I do for club games. I do for the first round of the league. I just done everything the same. On the day before, 2 days before, to 3 days before, were the exact same as the 2 or 3 days before any other game I played. Like, think about the match before the night, like, of course you do. Like, you try not to get it into your head how important the game is and how huge the game is, but it obviously does seep in slightly. I did find myself a little bit nervous, more so for the All-Ireland than I did previous games, which is probably natural enough. But I just, preparation wise, waking up, I woke up the morning of, done the same routine, met the same individuals I'd meet before every game, and went off. The only difference was there's a bit more hype around it, which you just have to kind of block out. Or if you kind of let that stuff seep in, you could be in trouble, you know. So I try to keep it as normal as possible.
And what was it like, Mark, and the likes of Tom Morrissey and Gerard Hegarty? They're probably the big names this year. Did you find it tougher than any of the other teams you played?
I suppose, Adam, as I kind of said already, like, if you look at that and you start thinking like that, you'll end up overthinking it, and you get more nervous and you get more anxious. And I just feel personally, now other people are different to me. I just feel personally, if you think too much, you might overthink, and overthinking sometimes leads to. I kind of have experience of when I used to overthink a couple of years ago playing, and it used to work out kind of negatively for me. So I just try to not think about it. You know, I've marked big names before. I didn't. So you just go out and you hurl. Like, you don't. If you think like, oh, this fella done this year and he scored a goal one year in All-Ireland final, and geez, remember that time he scored 7 points to play in All-Ireland? Geez, he's some hurler, which they are. They're unbelievable hurlers. Like, but if you think like that, then your head's gone. You just have to go at it and look at them as anyone else and just attack the ball like you would normally, and you hope for the best after that, I suppose, you know.
How does it feel to be nominated for an All-Star?
Sure, it's huge honour, I suppose. Like, there's never been an All-Star in the club, I don't think, since Tom Chased in 1959, and it's a long time ago since. And like, I didn't think too much of it. Like, I don't like to be overthinking things, as I said already. But I suppose the grandfather came into the house then the morning after I got nominated, and he was just buzzing us. He was buzzing. He was like, oh, what an honour and all this, and it kind of hit home then how much I mean to him. Kind of made me realise, geez, it is kind of a big deal, like, I suppose. But I suppose as far the likes of him, and I suppose my family and friends and the club, I suppose, who it means the most to. but a great honour for myself, of course, as well. Yeah, absolutely.
And Caleb, can I ask you? Look, I know the kind of fella you are, and I suppose your personality would be the type that you wouldn't be thinking about it. But if you go back to, like say Paul Galvin, for instance, in his book, he writes about the fact that he used to text himself all the time to say, "I'm going to be Player of the Year. I'm going to win an All-Star." Like, does it ever, like, you're there at All-Ireland final, and like, say the morning of the game, or and I was reading on different websites saying that like yourself and Stephen Bennett or Gareth Hegarty, Tom Morrissey, like you're all potential Players of the Year. Like, does it ever, go through your mind that, look, if I play well today, I'm nailing down an All-Star, because even though it's a team game, still though you want to do the very best for yourself to get the recognition, because that's what you want to play to win. And like it is like all players have that inside them that they want to achieve the most they possibly can.
I suppose, but you wouldn't be thinking about that. You wouldn't, like, leading up to an All-Ireland final, you're thinking about winning the match. You're not thinking about yourself in any way. I suppose it's a team sport at the end of the day. I think I might have said this actually the last day, like if I wanted to be an unbelievable individual, I might have played golf or tennis, so like it's all about winning, and at the end of the day we lost. So like I couldn't care less about an All-Stars because if you don't have Lee McCarthy alongside me, with the All-Stars. So obviously if he won now the match, like I'd love to have the added All-Star on top of it, but if, like, of course, as I said, a big honour for the family or whatever and the club. If I was to get it, a nomination is a huge honour as is, but like we still lost, so the end goal was failed at the end of the day, which is just kind of my outlook on it.
And are you back doing preseason stuff on your own now, or are you working away, or do you know what's going to be happening?
Yeah, look, it's a difficult one, like things are so up and down at the moment. Like it's hard to say, in 3 weeks we'll be back, or in 4 weeks, because you just don't know what this virus is going to bring us. Like, so for the current moment now, it's just your boots are on, you're running in the field on your own, you're doing the ball on your own. And I was lucky enough that the brother has a couple of weights out in the garage, so just trying to keep some way in shape, and hopefully soon enough now you get the call where you could just say, right lads, we're after getting the green light to go back training next Tuesday, which is something that you're kind of looking forward to.
And can I just ask another one there? I suppose, look, I know it's a different sport, but having played football, like some of the best learning experiences I ever got, I remember one day getting an absolute opened up by Declan Brown. Like when you're watching on TV, you can never see full extent. So like you're marking guys like Tom Morrissey, and you're marking players like Gareth Hegarty, and all of a sudden the ball goes down their channel, and there isn't a Waterford player, not necessarily Calum Lyons, but there isn't a Waterford player within 30 yards of him. Like, would you be watching that video again to learn, like, or do you think it's just a kind of a tactical thing where you sat back and you're where I'm coming from here? That like how can you bridge the gap next year that when you're marking Gareth Hegarty, like that, you're right in his face all the time, and he's not getting that kind of latitude again.
I suppose, like, I'll obviously have a lot of regrets after the match, after the All-Ireland, like, and there's probably a list of regrets now. Like, I'm not sure tactics being one of them is definitely probably not one of the regrets that we have. Like, I thought we set up right. I just thought overall we kind of let ourselves down. Performance-wise, we've shown them kind of a little bit too much respect. Like, obviously, as I said earlier, they're the best team in the country by a mile, with the best hurlers in the country, and you're marking the best hurlers in the country. But that's no reason to stand back and let them be the best hurlers in the country. That is probably my biggest regret, I suppose. To answer your kind of question, how to bridge the gap is like they've been kind of doing their game plan that they've been doing for the last 4 years, and they have it down to a T, which is fair. And I suppose it's up to the hurling experts that are involved with Waterford and all around the country, I suppose, to dissect these games and learn what they're doing and try to counteract it, because you've seen how Kilkenny done it last year, and it's definitely possible. I don't think there's that big of a gap to bridge. I feel everyone's on about this big gap between Limerick and the rest of the country. I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's like Dublin and in the football. I think it's not like that at all. I think they're the best, absolutely 100%, but I don't think that they're the best by 7 in a row like Dublin are, like, that kind of way. So we still have to remember how young we are. I know, like, it's mad to think that Austin Gleeson was the oldest in the whole forward line in the All-Ireland final. Like, so if you put it into perspective, we're still a young team, and it's only our first year trying to nail down this tactic that the boys have only introduced in the last year. So we'll get there.
And like, I suppose history would show that as well, that people talk about how hard it is to retain the All-Ireland, but actually kind of history has shown that it can be very deflating to lose an All-Ireland final. And if we go back to Waterford, say the last time, they didn't win a game for the next 2 years. So like, will that be something that you think you'll talk about and really, push that? The hunger has to be there. You said you're young, you're hungry. Like, I think it's a different team now. Like, the age profile is much more different. So like, surely psychologically that's something that has to be overcome.
Yeah, I suppose again, like that's down to us. I feel the general feeling is hard. It's hard to know because we haven't met since the match, but the general feeling around the camp, from just chatting to lads on text or whatever, and this, that, and the other, like we let ourselves down in the All-Ireland final, and like again, Limerick were unbelievable on the day, but we didn't perform at all. Like comparing to, we lost the Munster final to Limerick by 4 points, and I felt that day we weren't even at 100%. We didn't get motor and fully there, and then to get bet by whatever it was in the All-Ireland final, it really showed that we didn't get motor, and like the desire is 100% there, because fellas know that we're good enough to win All-Ireland, and we just let ourselves down on the last day, which was a bad like showing for the rest of the year, where we did perform. So I suppose that's it really.
With Tig injured now, do you think that you could be fancying your chances at wearing the number 6 jersey for next season?
I don't know. I suppose that's not really my choice in the matter either. I leave that one up to the lads. I haven't played there in a while. Like I don't even play there for the club, so I don't know how useful I'd be there now. I might leave that one to Irla potentially.
Was it tough for you today, like coming on the All-Ireland final? It must have been tough for him coming on after a few minutes on his first championship match, really.
Yeah, look, it kind of shows the kind of class that Irla is. Like he was like John Donnelly was going very well at the semi-final as well, and he was brought on for the last 10 minutes and like scored a point and everything. Irla has a bit of class. He's good for not overthinking, the kind of thing I was saying earlier about if you start overthinking and being nervous, then your head will probably go. But Irla's a good bit of class. Like he's kind of cool out that he doesn't overthink it. Like he's not thinking, oh my god, here I'm after being thrown in at centre back here in All-Ireland final after 10 minutes. Like he kind of just gets on with it. And the first ball he got was a horrific ball, and he dealt with it really, really well. So I think once he got the first ball, then he settled into it, and he just showed how good he is. He progressed throughout the whole game and really grew into it, and he was absolutely fine at centre back. You wouldn't even think he was only after being brought on. He's only 19 or 20 at the same time, like, so again, I don't know what he was thinking on the field, but it didn't look like he was anyway taken back or nervous.
I'd like to thank Calum for coming on the show today and sharing his experience with us. The whole team made the county proud, and we can't wait to see you back out on the pitch soon. I'll ask you again to like the video and subscribe to our channel, as it really helps out. Stay safe, and we'll speak to you soon on Extra Time.